How do movement and music shape each other in the creative process? Maurice Merleau-Ponty spoke of the intertwining of perception and expression, where the senses don't merely receive the world but actively shape how it is made. In interdisciplinary collaboration, choreography and composition aren't parallel disciplines that align after the fact, they are co-constructed languages, forming and transforming one another. Over the past year, I've worked with 3 choreographers, each on 2 separate works. I've also created my own production, bringing the total to 7 case studies. Each collaboration shaped me. Each one challenged my assumptions about how choreography and composition can truly meet on equal ground. But today, I will focus on one, Loud Whispers, choreographed by Othanasia Kanethlepoulou. The premiere is on June 3, 2025. A work about the female gaze.
How do you know it's all real?
My name is Konstantina Polyphenopoulou. I'm an interdisciplinary artist. I work as a composer specializing in dance productions, but I also create my own performances as a composer of bodily movement. As a researcher, my interests lie in the field of core musicology. As an artist, I am passionate about the intersection of music and dance. My work spans 3 fields: composition, dance, and research. And I am on my 2nd year of PhD project at ABPU under the supervision of Barbara Lunenburg, Stephanie Schroeder, and Darren Toulon that enables me to combine all of my interest in the knowledge I have developed through artistic research. My artistic academic project, Visible Music Between Dance, Choreography and Composition, explores the dynamics between choreographers, dancers, and composers. Using a hybrid methodology that blends artistic practice with academic research, I examine how music and movement evolve together during rehearsals. I employ tools such as video analysis, interviews, and reflective journaling. I also explore kinaesthetic empathy, examining how the dancers and musicians intuitively understand and respond to each other's movements and how this shapes the creative process.
My central research question is, how can composers, choreographers, and dancers respond meaningfully to each other's artistic perspectives and disciplines?
I approach these questions from within. As a composer who is actively involved in the works I study, I adopt an insider's perspective. This gives me intimate access to the creative process, but also requires critical self-awareness to balance artistic participation with academic reflection. This project addresses a key gap in the literature: the lack of sustained documentation tracing how creative collaboration between composers, choreographers, and dancers develop over time.
As Alan Taylor, 2021, points out, composers and choreographers, who work in 2 different non-verbal artistic media, often find their ability to share their imaginative processes limited.
So, through this video lecture, I am to shed light on this issue by revealing how music and movement come together in the rehearsal space.
In accordance with contemporary choreographer and director Wayne McGregor, when you collaborate with someone, you are looking for a different way of perceiving the world.
For Loud Whispers, I worked with Othanasia and her dancers for over 20 days. The choreography and music were developed simultaneously, with one sometimes leading and the other following. Artistic collaboration is a dialogue, but not always a verbal one. choreographers and composers communicate across a wide spectrum through words, gestures, metaphors, music sketches, and movement improvisations.
The partners imagine in two different non-verbal media, yet they need to find a way of communicating in order to share at least some of the imaginative processes. Many composer-choreographer teams have successfully overcome this barrier. There are lessons to be learned, the ways in which they did so, and from the problems faced by others who failed or had more limited success.
Our collaboration began with clear artistic intentions. Athanasia described the first musical segment in metaphor, like a tornado, the past merging with the present.
Πώς είναι το whirlpool, ο νεμοστρόβιλος.
Later came requests for monastery, like atmospheres, footsteps, doors closing, bells, whispers.
Σαν να ακούμε τους ήχους από το μοναστήρι απ' έξω. Βήματα, πόρτες να ανοιγοκλίνουνε, τσέλο, βουμ, έναν ήχο.
Using Max QDA, I coded our communication moments other categories like verbal communication, non-verbal gesture exchanges, and conceptual metaphor. This allowed me to track how often we relied on speech versus more intuitive cues.
Κωνσταντίνα μου, θα πρέπει το υλικό να μπει πάνω στο σώμα τους όταν κάνουν το rewind.
Verbal exchanges, discussions about tempo, mood, dynamics.
Να το ξαναπαναφέρεις. Και να μην έχει παύσεις. Να είναι στημένο όλο πάνω τους.
Non-verbal negotiation embodiment instruction.
Να είναι κάπως λίγο πιο εκκλησιαστικό, αλλά μπορεί να είναι μόνο για 10 δευτερόλεπτα. Νομίζει ο θεάτης ότι το πάμε να το σπάσουμε στο πιο ιερό.
We often communicate through voice notes and video calls, whether during the day or even late at night.
Και το παίρνουν και μετά το παίρνουν οι κοπέλες.
We're on the train. At last, we found some time just for the two of us.
Δεν βρίσκουμε κοινό. Κάτσε λίγο ρε.
After the first run-through with the costumes, we got a moment to watch the video and reflect on what's working and what still feels off.
Για πήγαινε ξανά λίγο πίσω να το δούμε, τα βήματα μαζί.
Αυτό μας είχε τη σκηνή, κατάλαβε, λείπει αυτό.
The dancer Avini said, "In this collaboration, music and choreography were marching from the beginning hand in hand." Let's explore how sound and movement shaped each other in rehearsal. From the beginning, I observed how different elements of my composition, cues, rhythm, timbre, directly influenced the dancer's phrasing. Using Max QDA, I coded these moments under categories such as start cue, movement begins in response to a musical signal. Polyrhythmic response, dancer layers different rhythmic structures on top of the music. Thematic interpretation, dancer interprets a recurring musical theme or motif physically. Tempo response, dancer adjusts speed based on tempo. Timbre reflection, movement mirrors the texture or instrumentation. This moment wasn't originally choreographed. I added the laughter track as a musical expression of irony. Athanasia responded by incorporating it into the movement vocabulary. Now, the dancer's gestures amplify the tension and absurdity of that sound. As dancer Vasiana said, the atmospheric quality of the music transmuted my body, freed me from searching for a specific role. Some of the most important knowledge in a creative process doesn't come through words. It emerges through movement, timing, and interaction, through what we do, rather than what we say. In Loud Whispers, we worked with recorded speeches, fragments of voices from historical women.
You cannot locate it, and you cannot stop it.
The dancers weren't simply interpreting choreography. They were reacting emotionally and physically to what they heard. This led me to observe and code certain recurring patterns in their responses. I developed categories such as emotionally facial gesture synergy, mood embodiment, and characterization gesture temporal referencing, ways the body expresses emotional and dynamic shifts in direct response to sound. One of the dancers, Avini, reflected on this process by saying, "What is it like to become the conduit of someone else's speech through your own body?" She later added, "What fragmentary movements do you use to speak yourself?"
This collaboration has deepened my understanding of how artistic practice generates knowledge. At the start of my PhD, I underestimated the value of reflective journaling. Despite being advised to record even the simplest thoughts, I believe it was unnecessary. I assumed that I would remember every detail of the creative process years later. How wrong I was. However, I have since realized that memory alone cannot capture the essence of the creative process. Writing enabled me to identify patterns, articulate involving questions, and perceive insights that would otherwise have been fleeting and lost, have remained ephemeral. I was embedded within the work. I wasn't just documenting what happened, I was documenting how it felt. This dual role as both composer and researcher allowed me to gain a kind of knowledge that is not only intellectual, but also somatic, emotional, and deeply contextual within the dynamics of collaboration. I would like to share with you some of the codes that emerge through this reflective process. Themes such as creative ideas, emotional responses, material to work with, my relationship with the choreographer, and even questions of power within the collaboration. These codes not only helped me understand my own process more deeply, but also became a framework for analyzing the broader dynamics of interdisciplinary creation. These codes helped me understand my own process more deeply, and they now serve as a framework for analyzing the broader patterns of interdisciplinary collaboration. Alongside journaling, I also coded our conversations, annotated video footage, and tracked key moments of mutual influence between music and choreography. For instance, 9. The clocks. Q initiates a diagonal crossing by a Vini. 13:12, the soundscape for the quartet begins. At 17:30, Vassiana's motive returns just before Maria's solo. These timestamps are more than just structural markers. They represent shared memory. They help illuminate how decisions evolved collaboratively, moment by moment. I remember saying to Thanasia, I don't care if the music is perfect. I care that it fits the choreography seamlessly. She replied, that's why I like working with you. Your ego doesn't get in the way. This exchange reveals more than artistic preference. It speaks to power dynamics within creative collaborations, a recurring theme that also emerged through my coding. The negotiation of authorship, listening, and mutual respect becomes central to understanding how embodied knowledge is co-created.
As Lehman Engel observes, it is too easy for the dancer and the composer to ruin each other's work in their collaboration because of insufficient understanding of the fusion of their two arts in the dance. My project, Visible Music, ultimately seeks to do the opposite. To make visible the invisible dialogue, to archive the fleeting, to give form to intuition, and to share this embodied knowledge with those who compose, choreograph, or engage deeply with music and movement. Throughout this collaboration, I listened, not only as a composer, but as a researcher. I paid close attention to the pauses, the breath, and the subtle cues that precede movement. These codes help me trace how sound interacts with the body, how music shapes gesture, and how gesture, in turn, reshapes the music. Let's return to our opening question. How do music and movement shape each other? One dancer, Leah, said, when music and choreography evolve together, it brings subliminal discoveries, movements you never imagined.
This video lecture is hybrid, part documentary, part reflection. It aims to reveal what is often left unsaid: the nuances of collaboration, the necessity of presence, and the potential for art and research not to oppose each other, but to act as partners in discovery. What if we began to see composing, choreographing, and dancing not as isolated acts, but as interwoven forms of thinking, each one shaping and being shaped by the other?
How do you know it's all real?